policy agenda that has been initiated under this proposal. In my time on council, every year there has been a huge proposal that has had scores of people at meetings. I'll give you one quick example: our decision to make changes to our refuse collection. First, we're going from automation and then ultimately into partnership with the county. That type of policy initiative or significant change in the way that we operate city government doesn't exist in this budget. And so from my perspective, this is, none of this is new and is consistent with the priorities that the Bell administration has laid out. So that said, I'm prepared to move forward with the general fund budget today. I do have questions about CIP, and I don't know if you want to finish the general fund discussion and then go to CIP, or...
This is the suggestion from the administration. I agree with it, is that we go through the amendments of both, the operating budget and then do the amendments of the CIP, and then pass it, because some of the amendments apply to both. We can talk about that specifically when we get to that point.
All right, well then allow me, Council President, to ask a couple of questions with respect to the CIP budget. So, if I'm not mistaken, my recollection is that in the past, I've only ever cried at City Council once, and that's when Council voted to take $1.5 million out of the CIP fund for dredging the Ottawa River. That would make anyone who sits in my seat, Council District 6, come to tears. So I do know that we have voted to close out CIP in the past. I am looking at referral numbers 23 and 53, which indicate a variety of projects related to CIP closeouts. I'm not aware that particular legislation has been brought forward for us to make this determination. So it could be that this is a departure from, and I could be wrong, but it seems to me that under previous administrations, we always pass legislation related to CIP closeout that would be an affirmative decision to the council making.
The legislation that is approved this year, the 2012 and prior year CIPs, does call for the administration to have the ability to close out. We did, in response to a request we received at the CIP hearing, provide you with a listing of the closeout of the deferrals. I will tell you that the revenue that is generated by closing out those projects is revenue that is needed for the 2013 program. There's not 5 whatever million sitting there in excess that we can use for additional projects over and above what we have proposed in the CIP.
Okay, so basically the way I am synthesizing your comments ultimately are that when we passed the initial CIP budget for 2012, then it gave us the ability to close out certain projects. It gave the administration the ability to close out certain projects.
Not only the 2012 CIP, but previous years' CIP.
As well. Okay. Yeah. So that's sort of a unique aspect, because in previous administrations we voted on them separately. But so the questions that I have really are related to two issues of significance to me and from where I sit. The first one is there is a sizable amount, in excess of $350,000, related to parks and recreation. Clearly, there can be little debate about the intense need that the infrastructure of our parks and recreation program have. These closeouts, I would like to hear a little bit from the administration about why it's warranted and how it ultimately impacts the infrastructure. And then secondly, obviously, the Point Place dike issue remains a significant consideration for the neighborhood, much to this administration's credit. Significant conversations have been had with the Army Corps of Engineers, but closing out nearly $350,000 of a $760,000 allocation, I just want to make sure that the public safety of the people in Point Place as well as is protected, as well as the ultimate policy goal of not
$750,000 for various park improvements, which is a greater level than what we have typically funded in the past. So, yes, we have closed out $350,000 from prior budgets, so we turned around and put that right back in the 2013 budget for that purpose.
Good.
In essence, we made it clear to the directors that they would be rewarded for doing a diligent review of their previous CIP budgets, much to their consternation in some cases, but then again, that freed up much more money for us to take care of things, and actually in the case of recreation, we provide greater funding in the CIP for this year than we normally do. With respect to your point-based dike question, I'm going to ask Director Moore to come to the podium to address that.
Thank you, members of council. As far as the point-place dike is concerned, we went through the process of closing out CIP projects, and we looked at the point-place dike. As you know, through letters that I've sent to your office and through email, the point-place dike right now, that the status of the dike is it's pretty much on hold according to FEMA. They pretty much put a hold on all of their dike projects throughout the country. They're reevaluating their position on how they want to approach the reform of the dikes. What we're looking at for 2013 is just a minimum amount of funds that we already have over at SBNH, where we're going to fill in some low spots. There will be no significant construction out on the dike itself in 2013. And in turn, the administration, as Steve said, Mayor Herbot said, we will look to put funding back in 2014 CIP to continue the project if it's needed at that time.
And so if, just for further clarification then, so since FEMA has indicated that it is on hold, so to speak, that means that the requirement that those homeowners carry flood insurance is similarly on hold?
Absolutely. No homeowners in Point Lake to see any adjustments in their insurance rate until FEMA is ready to act on the dike itself and its certification status.
Okay, so that's very satisfactory to me. So then just, Mr. Clerk, if I can, with respect to the CIP, it's my preference that we, in the future, keep CIP closeout and CIP allocation kind of as a separate, so that we monitor the process, right? Because CIP budgets are a set of priorities for infrastructure investments, and then time elapses and things change. And so we want to make sure that if we're closing that out, obviously, you know, in the two projects that I highlighted, it's positive. I have no complaints about that, but I guess in terms of keeping these two processes separate so that, much like the Collins amendment today, that essentially requires the administration to come back and look at the project individually. Similarly, I would like to separate out the closeout process from the budget allocation process. How is, if we pass this tonight, how does that relate, Mr. Clerk, if I can? Or